Welcome to the Divorced Dadvocate. I am Jude Sandoval, your host, and we are here today to help dads sort through their divorce and create an amazing life for themselves and their children. Welcome to this week's episode. We are going to continue in our Dad's Guide to Divorce with Step 3. I want to thank you for all of your input on the previous two steps. The first step we talked about was clarifying your vision and direction, and just wanted to just briefly touch on that again and just recognize the fact that when you're going through divorce, and when I went through my divorce, and when I hear regularly from men that things feel really chaotic, that your world is turned upside down, everything's just really uncertain, that this first step is incredibly important to really starting to refine and define what your life is going to look like post-divorce. So if you haven't talked, or if you haven't watched or listened to Step 1, I highly suggest, actually, if you haven't listened to Step 1 or Step 2, since these compound upon each other, I'd say go back and listen to Dad's Guide to Divorce. Step 1, clarify your vision. And Step 2, Dad's Guide to Divorce, strategize your actions, and then come back and listen to this messages, or listen to this podcast as well. Hold on, let me turn the ringer off on the phone. I forgot to do. All right, no more interruptions. So, just to recognize that you might be going through, it just might feel very overwhelming right now. And I got to say, probably 99% of the men that I chat with during divorce, and I know this was my experience, it was so challenging, because just as men in masculine energies, we want to have order to things, and not having order and having chaos with stuff being so uncertain, it's really very challenging. So that's why that first step is critical. And then the second step of strategizing your actions, because, men and our masculine energy, we want to take actions, right? We want to solve problems. We want to do something about what the problem, quote unquote, problem might be, or challenge might be. So that's why this guide and my philosophy and my approach to things is a little bit different than you might get in maybe talk therapy, maybe in some other coaching that might be just might be focused in a different way. Is I'm looking at this from the perspective of, as a dad. Well, first and foremost, as a dad, as a divorced or divorcing dad, because it makes the difference that you have children. It's a little bit challenging, a little more challenging. There's some more dynamics, but also from the perspective of that the masculine energy, that we have a way in which we look at and we approach things a little bit differently as men. So this Dad's Guide and these steps are all created and implemented in the philosophy, or with the background and understanding of, we think and we implement things a little bit differently than women might be, or let's just say that, like, the feminine energy might. So with all of that said, second step, so the first step, clarify your vision and direction. It was a two-step process. I'm just going to briefly go through it. Number one was journaling. Second was finding some sort of contemplative process, which could be meditation, it could be gardening, it could be bike riding, walking, whatever it might be. So journaling and in a contemplative practice in order to clarify that vision and direction. I'll share with you the vision that I came up with post my divorce. And hey, gentlemen, I'll tell you what, if anybody did divorce and post-divorce in the most unbelievably difficult and challenging manner, it was me. So I'm speaking from experience here. This took me a long time to really get my head around things and clarify a vision for what I wanted post-divorce, and put that vision together, and then start working these steps in order to create a better life for myself and my daughters. So I've worked through all of this stuff equally as much as as anybody else. And so when I'm talking about them and espousing them and trying to help you through them, just know that I have gone through all of this as well. So my vision is to be a heart-centered, available father who is always present. So that is my vision. So step number 2 was strategize your actions. Now, I subscribe to a simple 3-step process. The first is set your goal. Real simple. Set your goal, whatever that may be. Then from that goal, you're going to work backwards to create the steps that you need to reach that goal. So, for instance, actually, I'm not going to go. If you want to listen to the details of how to go through that and how to do that, listen to the last one. But the third part of that then was to relentlessly focus or refocus on the behavior necessary to achieve those goals. So not necessarily focusing on the goal so much as focusing on the behavior, because you focus on the behavior or refocus your behaviors. If you keep implementing those behaviors and the steps, they're going to build and you're going to achieve that goal. So that's step 1 and 2. This week, we are talking about upgrading your skills. So what do I mean by upgrading skills? First, I'll tell you what one of my goals was, because this is like I said, all building on itself. So my vision to be a heart-centered, available father who is always present. And then one of my goals was to be mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually present during each moment of my parenting time. So that was my goal. I created the steps around that and the behaviors that I needed to do those. And obviously, one of those behaviors is being a good parent. But what happens then if you don't exactly have the skill to be a good parent? So, we're getting thrown into single parenting here. We've got the kids 100% of the time, and now all of a sudden we might be responsible for meals, getting kids dressed, getting everybody off to school, having dinner ready when we get back from work. All of the different challenges where we may have been able to work that together with our partner in the past. So this could be like it was for me a very daunting challenge to get your head around. Well, how can I learn these skills? And so sometimes skills are outdated or outmoded based upon how long it's been since you've implemented them, or the environment that you're in now that's changed from, or the dynamic or the environment that's changed since the last time that you implemented the skill. So you may need to upgrade. So one of the ones that I'll give you the example that I used was needing to be based upon my vision, which was how to be a heart-centered father. So that was really important to me, that my daughters know that everything that I do and every approach that I'm coming from is a place of love, and to be heart-centered. But it's real easy to talk about that, and you can say I love my kids and I love my daughters dearly, but just loving them was not going to be enough for me to deal with like the back talk or creating consequences that are empathetic and not punitive, and dealing with the frustrations of chores not getting done or whatever. Just being able to love through that and not having a real specific skill around how to do that and do it in a heart-centered way was something that I didn't have. Now, so what did I do? I went back to parenting classes in order to learn that skill and learn the specific skill of how to do the parenting thing in a heart-centered way. And what I found, and I had done these classes before, was a parenting course called Love and Logic. And I'll just put a plug in briefly for Love and Logic. I credit it almost entirely for the amazing relationship that I have with my 3 daughters. It is a phenomenal way to parent your children. And when they're born and we take them home from the hospital, we don't have a manual on how to do anything. This is as close to a manual in a philosophy that you can get that is going to create a better life for you and your kids that you can possibly find out there. And so, and it's just based on learning how to allow your child to grow through their mistakes and live with their consequences in a loving and compassionate and empathetic manner. And it's absolutely brilliant. It's very simple, but and it sounds simple, but in practice, it's incredibly challenging, just like parenting is. But I can attest to the fact that it is the results are absolutely amazing. So if you are interested in it, loveandlogic.com is their website. It's based out of Golden, Colorado, and it's really excellent. So enough, and they didn't pay me for any of this. It's been such an amazing thing, and I've been doing it for now a decade, since my actually longer than that, since my daughter was young. And then when my youngest was born, I needed to really upgrade the skills, because she was definitely one that was testing the parenting skills, my parenting skills, with the way in which she just the way in which she is, which is wonderful, but it was very challenging. So I went back to parenting classes. That was one way in which I upgraded my skills. Another one was, in order to, that second part of my vision of being a heart-centered, available father who is always present, is that present part, being present in the moment with them all the time, which, I just generally in my nature am always thinking about something, like thinking through a problem or thinking through a challenge or thinking through a philosophy or something. I'm always just got something going on in my mind. And to shut that off, I really needed to figure out a tool to shut that off. Not to mention, hey, being a father, a single father, and trying to get dinner ready and the phone's ringing and you're stressed about bills and the kids are screaming and somebody needs help with their homework. It's all like trying to get present and really centered. It can be just like a superpower. It's just, I was like, oh man, how do I do this? So what I was drawn to was a concept called mindfulness, which is simply the ability to know what is happening in your head at any given moment without getting carried away with it, which is, that can be a little challenging. I know it is for me, for sure. But if you're interested in more information about mindfulness, happify.com has a really cool video. I'll link in the show notes below that just kind of basically explains it. But in order to learn to be mindful and to be present then with my daughters all the time, I was drawn at first to a book called so in order to upgrade my skills, so I'm identifying something that I need, a skill that I need to get better at. So, and that was being present, and mindfulness is the basis for that. So I was looking for tools in which I can upgrade my skills. And I was drawn to a book called The Power of Now, which is a phenomenal book by Eckhart Tolle. And it just basically, philosophy is, if you're worrying about the future or you're ruminating on the past, that you're not able or capable of really appreciating or being in the moment now, and how that is not beneficial to your life, because you can't do anything about what's potentially, or you don't know what's potentially going to happen in the future. And in the past, there's you can't go back and change it, right, at this point. So all you can do is control what you're doing in the present moment, what your mindset is, what your reactions to things are, etc. So it's a phenomenal book. I've read it a couple times. I've gotten different things out of it both 2-3 times that I've read it, but it's still a little esoteric for me. It was a little too heady for me to really just be able to then take from there and go and implement into my life. And so I looked for another resource, and that resource I found was what is it called? Oh, Headspace, headspace.com. And there's an app also. And it's a meditation. So I've been meditating for a while, and that is something that is a practice in my life. That's my contemplative practice, one of my contemplative practices that I talked about in step 1. And so I wanted to try to find something that I could utilize through the meditation that might help me to find that mindset, not just when I'm sitting in the morning, like in my perfect environment that I've created before the kids wake up, but something that could help me during those times where it's a little bit more chaotic, that I could just get centered and get calm. So they had some really fantastic meditations on there, some really fantastic exercises as well that helped me, that I was able to implement, upgrade my skills, and then learn to be more centered and more present, even in all of those different crazy times of chaos. So those were a couple of examples of what I utilized from my life in order to upgrade my skills. Now, as you can see, there's going to be different paths. You'll potentially sort through different paths. If you are continuing to do this work, I highly recommend that you continue to go through the steps to realign your vision and direction. My vision and direction from 8 years ago, eight and a half years ago, when I got divorced, to now, my vision and direction is a little bit different. And so you're going to want to continue to upgrade that for what is pertinent in your life and for what you're wanting, and then go through the steps, strategizing your actions around what that new vision is, and then upgrading your skills. And then next week, we're going to talk about optimizing your environment. And basically, that comes down to creating an environment conducive to your success around all of what you've been creating up to this point. So thank you. This one was short and brief, and I like that. You can help me out immensely by subscribing to the YouTube channel, by leaving a review on Apple or any one of the other major podcasts that you might be listening to as well. Also, if you just need somebody to talk to, I have a free 30-minute consultation on the website, thedivorcedadvocate.com. Just go to contact/scheduling page. You can schedule right in there. It syncs right into my calendar. It can be the next day. I have dedicated times each and every day for that. You can do that once a quarter just for free, a free 30-minute consultation. And let's talk about what you might have going on in your life. Also, I've got a steep COVID discount going on right now, so reach out to me if you want more information on that for some coaching and some coaching packages as well. And just want to say I appreciate that you're here. I appreciate, if you're listening to this, that you're working to become a better man, a better father, and in the long run, the ripple effect of that across your children's lives and the lives of everybody else that is around you and around your children will improve. And that is a blessing, and I commend you for that. So thank you. I'm off. I'm going to spend a week on vacation with my daughter, so I'm looking forward to a little rest and relaxation with them, and I will be back next week with step 4 and hopefully re-energized from a little bit of fun. So take care.